If changing your self-concept changes your reality, let's dive into how to do that, why you want to do that, what it looks like, and what will happen when you do. A deep dive into your self-concept. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Abby. I am a reality creation consultant. Let's get into it. Your self-concept is how you see the reality around you. But more importantly, it's how you see yourself. But on a broader scope of things, your self-concept, the way that you assume yourself to be, is it's the lens that you see the entire world around. Because if you perceive yourself as a worthy, lucky being, you have that lens on of being worthy and lucky, and things just come to you very easily. Whereas if you have the self-concept of being a pessimistic, angry person like I used to do for a very long time, now your lens is, I'm not lucky, the world is against me, people don't like me, and it becomes a very dark, unhappy place. That was me for my teenage years into my early 20s until I really got into just wanting to live a better life, so I shifted my self-concept. So how do you do that? First, you want to ask yourself, what is showing up for me, and what am I believing to be true about myself and the world around me? And you want to get really raw and really deep with yourself. There's no wrong answer here, and there's no reason to beat yourself up about it, because what you believe is what you believe. Some of the stuff that you believe might be things that you've been believing your entire life that has been programmed since childhood. You might have a belief in there that you only get money when you work really freaking hard for it because that's what you saw growing up. That doesn't necessarily have to be a true thing for you anymore. You can shift that. You might believe that marriage only ends in divorce because it's what you saw growing up. So now that lens of marriage and happily ever after is very cloudy, very dingy, and you won't think that it's possible for you when it absolutely can be. So get into the meat of what you believe about yourself and your reality. Then you need to ask yourself, what needs to change? What do I not want to believe anymore? And what do I think will feel better if I start shifting into that mindset? Now, this is where it's tough because you've been putting out the focus and the energy into, my reality is this. I believe this about money. I believe this about love. I believe this about myself for X amount of years. So it is reflecting back to you pretty intensely. So when you start shifting your state of being and the way that you assume yourself to be, your reality is going to take a little bit of time to catch up to you. This is where you need to hold your ground and you need to say, no, I am this version of myself now. I am disregarding this circumstance. I am not going to let this thing showing up make me bruise my self-worth, make me feel less than I want to feel, make me feel unworthy, make me feel unabundant. That's definitely the trickiest part of all of this. Some of the things that I suggest doing when it comes to radically changing your self-concept and how you assume yourself to be would be come up with believable affirmations, because if you don't believe them, they are not going to work for you. You might need to start with smaller ones. Going from you have to work really, really hard for money to I don't have to work for money that is a very wide gap. It's very hard to get there, but it's not if you take baby steps. If you start with money is hard to work, or money is really, really hard to get unless I'm working really, really hard, to I am compensated for the work that I do, to I know that there is enough money in the world for everybody, that like I know money is limitless, and make it kind of broad and not that idea of money not necessarily directed at you, because you see millionaires all the time. Jeff Bezos, all those crazy people. Are they crazy? And then you continue to make more believable affirmations. And once you believe that that is actually true, it might take a few days, it might take a few weeks. You move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And as you shift these beliefs, the way that you show up in your reality is likely going to change as well. Because now your lens is, okay, money's actually not difficult to find. Okay, love is everywhere. I literally came from love. Why would I believe that it's not something I can have? And you start to see it that now, if you're not reacting on autopilot, if you are responding to things from your heart center more than your head is where you're programmed, your heart is where you really can express yourself. I know that sounds very corny. When you react, you are coming from a place of usually fear and lack and worry. When you respond, you're coming from a place of love, let's navigate this. I take my own vibrational role in this. Let's continue to move forward. It's a slower pace. Reacting versus responding, or responding versus reacting, has been a challenge for me, but it is something that is possible to get better at. It's like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets, and the more easier it is for you to use it. I personally like to use subliminal audios when I'm falling asleep with the positive affirmations that I've been working on, because those go into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is running your programs. So when you're on autopilot and you're not like actively thinking, your subconscious is running stuff for you. So you want your subconscious to run the best possible things for you. So that's why I like to use subliminal audios, and I have found so much benefit from them. As you start to change your self-concept and your reality starts to change, it's going to be pretty exciting. Some things might look a little different than what you expect. You might have this picture of the world you're stepping into, and it might look really, really different. That's okay. You're also going to see people respond to you differently in time. Might not be right away, especially if they know you to be one way and you start showing up a different way. They might get confused. Don't let their confusion throw you off course. Like, it is your reality. You continue to exude whatever you want to, regardless of the people in it. Don't be an asshole, though. And I want to remind you that as things start shifting in your reality, nothing is permanent. As much as we want to hang on to things, you have to be willing to let things go and let things come in. There is an ebb and flow to all of the universe. Things are going to leave, things are going to come in. Usually, in my experience, if one thing leaves, whether it's a relationship, a job, a physical object, something better always comes in. So you have to believe that in your heart. Something better is always coming in, and you need to make room for it. So maybe that means something energetically has to go, or physically has to go, for something better to come in. And it's really exciting to see how things start shifting and moving as you start shifting and moving. This isn't something that you're going to do in a day. This is not something that you're going to do overnight. This is something that takes months, years of practice, because we are always changing and evolving. So your self-concept should always be changing and evolving. Maybe not every single day, but ask yourself every morning, how do I want to show up today? How does that look for me? Do I need to give myself a permission slip to show up in a different way? For me, permission slips are nails, the way that I do my makeup, the clothes that I started wearing. I started shifting my wardrobe like a few years ago, and it changed the way that I showed up in my reality. There are so many permission slips that you can give yourself to start showing up differently, and it's fun to play around with different ones when you get started. There might be some that you're really comfortable with showing up as, and there might be some you're not very comfortable showing up as. Maybe you're not comfortable showing up as the most loved version of you, but you might be comfortable showing up as a lovely version of you. Not the most loved, but a lovely version of you. You might not be comfortable showing up as the wealthiest version of you, but you might be comfortable showing up as a abundant, more rich in life version of you, who likes to bask in the great things that are happening and isn't necessarily tied up in the world of money in that physical way. If you've stuck around this long, I thank you. I hope this helps you, and happy creating.